All aboard! Tervetuloa seuraamaan RTVn päivälähetystä. Tällä kertaa käymme keskustelua Japanin Remi Kanain, eli medio- ja parantajan kanssa. Ja ihan heti ensimmäiseksi tietysti toivotan kaikki katsojat tervetulleeksi, ja tämä kyseinen seuraava keskustelu tullaan käymään englannin kielellä. So, Remi Kanai, welcome to this our RTV's daytime show. How are you?
Thank you. I'm very fine, and I'm very glad to be on this show. Thank you for invitation.
Well, it's always nice to have you here. You are at moment in your home at Tokyo, if I understood right.
Yes, and actually it's next prefecture, which is quite near to Tokyo. It's about 30 minutes by train, and we are in a metropolitan. Yes.
Oh yes. So we are living a very special times at the moment in whole worldwide, widely, and but. Could you say a couple of words about the situation in Japan and Tokyo, about this corona situation, and how does it affect on you and everyday's life there? Then,
Okay, and of course, like other countries in the world, that we have a lot of people affected by coronavirus. Not only affected by diseases, but also this the quarantine, at a period of time, and then children are all at home because school there is no school now until the end of this month in my prefecture, in my local city. So they are at home, and the parents are helping them to study, but also they need to work. So either from home or sometimes some people, they need to go to office to work, and then of course those medical people, and so they are quite limited, and then we have those limitations and things that we need to do. But I think situation has been gradually changed for the better. It depends where you see, what you see. And then me personally, I do not see the situation by numbers. And especially it's like there are some aspects that we are experiencing from this corona situation, that some people at home finding their silent and quiet time, and in the world there are more and more better environmental changes. So we can not only discuss the situation through the numbers and the things that media is releasing. So from my personal point of view, we think, and as a spiritualist and a teacher and a metaphysician, I feel there are some people who are also finding like a true purposes of this life, and better time with children and things that are surrounding them. There are many situations around, and then I cannot just discussed from one point of view.
Yes.
So from many perspectives that we can see things going around, and then we can discuss on each part, each aspect. But surely that there are some good changes and awareness arise, and then that is something that probably we needed to have through this severe situation.
Indeed. Well, thanks for this kind of little information about this. But you are a medium and healer, and you have founder of this kind of Oneness Institute. Can you tell a little bit more about your spiritual background and how it all began?
Okay. As a child, and I was quite very sensitive, and I saw a lot of dreams when I was in elementary school, like war and like a nuclear bomb and things like that. So I was quite afraid of war as a child.
Yeah.
Probably it sounds a bit strange, but for me it was the reality that I was experiencing. Also, I had some nice spiritual experience as well when I was in kindergarten time. I had some nice experience that everyone around me became white people, and there were some paths along with them, in front of them, and paralleling with them. So I saw them as spirits, and they have each individual path that they go through. So it was some kind of awareness that we live this path, and then everyone in some sense is the same. Of course, we have unique experiences, and we are each one is unique being, but still we have some commonness. So that is some finding that I had as a child. Then when I was in junior high school, my theme was about environmental problems and also the war, because of those dreams. So I was wondering why people fight each other, not people, but countries fight each other against each other. So I studied myself that what is the problem, what is the cause of problems. And I was in fear when I was in junior high school, because I thought there will be another war in this time, and some countries might use nuclear bomb. So I was really afraid of the war, and I was afraid of the world. And then also I was angry because I didn't understand why people still fight and harm each other. But when I was the end of this junior high school time, I had awareness at once, like okay, I was being in fear all the time, and there is no reason why, and no reason for being afraid all the time, and I need to stop that. And then I realized that, okay, let's see how it goes. I do my best to live this life, and then let's see what will bring in the last. So from that moment, I kind of had the revelation that, okay, let's see, let's live in the fullest, so that I will see. And from this moment, the cloud around me cleared away. And the world was still uncertain, and of course we cannot control the world or destiny, but still we can change how we are and how we behave, and we can change how we feel. So I went to junior high school, and and when I was in university, I had some very awakening experiences. There were many experiences, so I do not list them all, but I realized there is something higher than I can perceive. I was saved my life a few times because of the voice, and saying that it's like a protection, and someone knows more than I do, and then the voice stopped. A voice prevented the danger that I was going to encounter. So I was saved a few times by voice. So from that moment, I was kind of aware that, okay, there was some layer that I haven't realized that were, and then this layer knows more than I do, and that is some wiser layer than my perception. Like consciously, I cannot feel it, but there is some layer above my normal perception. So it's like this was, oh yes, and also in university time, I had like a visualization, not visualization. I was able to see energies around me, and I was wondering, what is this, and why these particles are all going around so fast, and some energies are like particles are going randomly. But around me, the energy is quite coherent, and they just go round very, very fast. So I was aware of those energies around me, and then I was aware of those energies in the air. And many things happened, and I felt like, this world is not only what I can see, but there is something beyond that, and I need to know. And then I felt like there was some order in the universe. I just felt there must be some order, and some kind of what is this? Order, let's say order, and the natural order, if I say, yeah. So I wanted to see, I wanted to know, I wanted to grab that layer. But at the same time, I knew that is not now. So I kind of leave it for a while. And then after I graduated school, I started working, and also I went I visited Finland after my study year in England. And I had some very, very good time with my soul friends, and who actually brought me to Finland later years. But anyway, I visited Finland, and I had near-death experience there.
Remi.
And in that moment, I learned that death is not something to be fearful or fear of. And that is the experience of releasing pain and everything behind. And I felt very peaceful. And I had very beautiful room and energy in that hospital room. And I saw my uncle who died 3 months in prior. So it was the moment that I experienced what is like to die. And also I had out-of-body experience in the hospital as well. So it gave me some big awareness that, okay, nothing is more important than love and experience.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Can I ask that when you went to the United Kingdom, did you were to study something? What was your degree? What it was achieving?
Oh no, it's yes, it's English, and then I was told by the teacher to go to graduate school, and I was kind of asked why don't I go there to study more. But my degree in Japan was international economics, and I wasn't going to study more in that area. So I asked my teacher if I can do more like an environmental studies or art, or like a more humanity related area. And he said, in England, you cannot, you can only study continuously from the degree you have. So I wasn't, I didn't feel to study more in my international economics. So I said, okay, I have only 1 year budget also. So I said, I don't do.
Well,
yeah.
Can I ask also something about your background when you was kid, and you was telling that you had that kind of fear of war and nuclear war, and but when those nuclear attacks was happen, you wasn't even born yet. So did you just did you somehow felt it in as a national trauma? What was with people? Was it in that kind of national trauma still in people's mind very strongly, and did it can be seen in people's everyday life and thoughts and speeches?
Yes, yes, and I'd like to add something more. That, of course, it's natural trauma, but also this is like a collective trauma for human consciousness.
This is what I thought.
Just, yeah, like a collective consciousnness we all share. So in that level of human history, that we all have this, we all share this trauma happen to the world. So not only national, like a country based or culture based, but also this is like a human consciousness based trauma.
Yes, this is what I thought.
Yes, and then I was feeling that very strongly. And it is like when you are developing in the oneness consciousness, that you are feeling somebody like yourself. And for me, it was like the world pain is like my pain. And it was too heavy for a child to bear. So I think, it was like a spiritual kind of practice, or some kind of lesson that I have I had from my childhood. So it was from my childhood, I was very serious person. But normally children are more like children. And of course I was childlike time to time, but I was quite serious all the time. And those lessons, probably not everyone had made me that way. But later I realized that was not my imagination, and it was real kind of threat to human history in some level. So we don't see that much on TV or the news, but in Japan especially, because of some situation going on here. So we do not see those news and facts what are happening in the world much. But from my childhood, I was always feeling that kind of threat and pain, those kind of things.
Yes. Well, I thought so that when I listening your story from the beginning, that it all started that when you was child, you was reached so high with your consciousness that this collective consciousness was your playground somehow for your consciousness. And when you get older, then you started to see those things what is more clear, more close of you, like those energies around of you, and those focus and consciousness was attached to those closer things, not like in when you was a kid and it was this collective consciousness. Well, it was changing somehow that all attention was coming more closer, and you was focusing those things like that in my ears, how I hear it. What do you think?
Sorry?
What do you think about it?
About the changing changes in
yes.
world. Yeah, I think that is the cause of. It's like it's prepared, and then I think this is like we all know what will be there to be on Earth before we incarnate. It's like we plan and we know what would happen, and then with including those plans that we go. And we become embodiment in the physical body on Earth. There is some preparation going on from many years beforehand. There are many people who started opening their eyes more on metaphysical realm and development of human consciousness, not only now, but many years ahead. So before. So we were, like collectively, we were prepared for these changes. And Collectively, we are having those revolutional time and the evolutional time of consciousness that we need to live together, and then we need to live in our. It's like we need to take back our nature, and we need to be aware of the truth that who we really are. Can I share some story
Of
when
course.
I had when we had a tsunami?
Of course, please.
2011, and in Japan we had tsunami, earthquake, and a tsunami, and it was March, and that year in January and February, I was seeing a few dreams that I cannot ignore. I couldn't ignore. One dream is telling that my friend is telling that they are under call for something important, and especially the calling is for the natural disaster. And she said in the dream, she said that you need to be prepared. And I said, really? Yes, I will do. But I wasn't really, it wasn't so urgent for me. But later in that dream, I found out that I wasn't prepared. My daughter was only 1 year and a half old, and I didn't have enough diaper. I didn't have enough water. I didn't have enough like a formula, milk formula, kind of things. So I woke up, and then I felt like I need to prepare something like an emergency kit and those diaper and things like that.
Yes.
So and then it was in the not midnight, but in the early morning. Yes, and it was around 2 o'clock in the morning, and then I opened my PC. And I found out there is one email coming from the same person that I was talking in the dream. And it was, the time was 2 o'clock, 2:22, so 2:22. And then next February, I had also another dream that I was in a compartment room, and then I was preparing those people around me. I was telling them, okay, take deep breath and you will be fine. Even though if you die, you will be fine because you live anyway. So take deep breath and be calm and be centered. Let's go. And then I heard the water coming from somewhere, and I was able to hear the screaming voices of people. Next moment, I was in the water, and I was able to find a log or the tree, and then I grabbed that tree, and I was floating, and I was able to reach the third floor of the building, one building, and I started running so fast and fast. And some people were like, they tried to have their jewels and a kimono and those kind of valuables. And I was feeling like we don't have that time. We need to run. And then I went into the end of the room, and then I was able to go outside because there was one door opening, and then I was able to go outside. And then I found out there is mountain behind, and some people are already climbing up, And I felt like, okay, now I'm safe. I need to go up there. Also, I found clothes on the land, and then I knew I needed to have that jacket because it was chilly and then it was a bit snowing. So it was cold place, and there is mountain, and we need to go up in the mountain because the big water is coming, tsunami is coming, flood is coming. And I woke up and okay, I feel I need to be ready. So again, I was feeling that something bigger is coming. So I told my students because in 2008, my school was registered in California. So that made me minister and officially registered school principal, so that my school is officially chartered in California, America.
Yes.
Anyway, so anyway, I told my students to be ready to buy some like emergency kit and then some water and food, etc. And we have this 3/11. This time with Corona, did I have that kind of dream? And I can say no in this year. So I felt like, okay, I didn't have that alarm. Normally when something dangerous coming towards me, then I can know beforehand if I need to do something, if I need to prepare something. This time with Corona, I didn't have much intense alarming from those higher realm. But I remembered that many years ago that I had a dream, and that is relevant to the status that I'm feeling right now. In that dream, that I was able to see our opponent is going to attack us. And it was a dream, but it was like an out-of-body experience. So I was in the air, and I was in the the energy level, means that the spiritual realm. And I was seeing this encounter, like not enemy, but some opponent, someone is attacking us. And it was a beam, and this beam, laser beam, was struck to people behind me, and they screamed and they vanished. They disappeared by this laser beam. And when this laser beam coming through me, and it didn't affect me at all. What did I do before that was coming? That I became into my center, and I was very calm in my center, being felt like I'm very protected, I'm safe, I'm very serene and calm. And then this beam didn't detect me, so that I was safe all through. And then again, this beam went to other people, and they screamed and they disappeared. So from this experience, I really had kind of feeling, okay, what we need is not to feel fear, or not driven by fear or anxiety, but we need to go into our center. We need to be very calm, and safe in our spirit. It was like the many years time also, as well as other people, I was kind of prepared for the moment of this kind of disaster and severe situations, how to go through those crises. So I'm sure that many people who have practiced their natural medicine, meditation, energy healing, and a lot of many kinds of naturopathy and those things, and then psychological transformation, spiritual transformation. Those people who seek for inner peace and the truth, they have found those serene and calm places in themselves, and how to not be driven by fear, but rather than make those fear for the motivation to change and seeking for the truth. So this is not only me, but I feel we are all being prepared for this evolutionary time. And that is what I want to tell people about it.
Yes, yes. Well, I have had also those dreams about what will happen and what kind of, like you thought about this tsunami thing, and I have also had those dreams when I see that those lots of those big waves, water waves comes, and also when this corona came, I saw myself got sick, and when I called it to this for ambulance, they said that well, we have so many cases here that we cannot help everybody, so it might come or it might that not come. So these kind of dreams are one way how this collective consciousness given information and prepare us to face those things what comes with time and in this reality here. What do you think?
Yes, I totally agree with you.
Yes.
Yes. So yeah, those collective consciousness, always learning through those subconsciousness and the deep subconsciousness. We are all sharing those the layer of information and how to be prepared and what to do in a situation like that.
Indeed.
Yes, and yeah.
And if we're thinking about that, what is collective consciousness? Well, I have written in my books in Time of World Spirit that there is like a planetary consciousness which are using this collective consciousness for communicating with people who are sensitive to pick up that message. What do you think about it?
Yeah, exactly. It's like we all have we have three consciousnesses, and if I say layers of consciousness. Yes. One is normal, like consciousness when we think and we can be aware of ourselves and our thinking. That's a consciousness. And then a memory bank, the underneath is our subconsciousness. And then even deeper, we have deep subconsciousness, which is the spiritual consciousness that we all share. And Carl Jung called that is like a collective unconsciousness. And yes, so that is the dreams are normally told that they exist in the subconsciousness layer. But also there are some dreams belong to deeper subconsciousness layer. And that is like a spiritual consciousness. That is like a collective higher consciousness that we all share. So when we are tuned to that, we have some information, and then information of the not only physical world, but metaphysical world as well. So in that realm, that there are some plans and countermeasures that they are preparing. So as you say, that we can tap into those realm, and we can have those intuition, inspiration, and information from that realm. So we all have that ability, but probably it's difficult to open up instantly. So that is the reason why I feel it's important to develop our ability to tap into our true essence. And the true essence, the source, is the source and the highest consciousness. So we gradually develop ourselves, and we gradually refine our vibration so that we can gradually tap into those consciousness. But it needs some development, some practice. So that is something that I give people. Like I do those training and then courses to develop the abilities, metaphysical abilities or spiritual abilities, or whatever you call.
Yes. Now it's time to go to our first music break, and you have sent me a couple of music songs what you would like to listening while we are talking, and first one will be from Edward Elgar. It's variations of original theme operator 36 Enigma. Does it ring the bells?
Yeah, the music itself is so beautiful, and I like it so much from my many years, and I have listened to many times. And this time of our like a human history that we are encountering those difficulties, but at the same time is something to end, but something to begin. So that is, I think, we can all feel how it is like to be in that kind of time with this music too.
Yes, so let's hear this music, and then we come back with Remi and talking about human evolution and consciousness evolution, where it will lead us. But right now, Edward Elgar. Well, that was very beautiful. Enigma was this operator's name, and it's like a riddle, enigma meaning. But we have here Remi Kanai today, and we are talking about her journey, spiritual journey, and in the first session we was talking about, we ended this conversation with consciousness and what kind of different layers it has, and I was just telling to Remi some dream what I saw, and those dreams sometimes brings our visions, and those states are consciousness states are like that you are fully aware that you are in dream, and you can see those visions very clearly. You can even feel your body but does it still make a difference when you went out of your body? And now we are talking about a little bit further details about consciousness. What do you think about this example what I gave, that what kind of states of consciousness it has to have when you get those clear visions?
Yes, can I start from explaining what you were experiencing
Sure,
in that out-of-body experience?
Sure, you can.
Yes, and you can share what you have experienced with those tunnels and things on Earth.
Yes. Well, a few nights ago, I actually wrote in my blog that I have this Journey of the Dream blogspot in Finnish language, and I was written there that I was having that kind of what I call it astral dream, that I was fully aware of myself when I was sleeping, and I saw those places where I was, and I could see myself that it's just that kind of unseenable energy, and when I was I could feel that kind of movement and speed when I was flying, and what I saw was that there was this world where we are living, but time has to be different, because what I saw was that there was very strong tearing winds blowing all over the earth, and there was mixed in this wind like a dust and trash and some kind of acid which burns, and all those streets and houses was empty, and it seems like that there has no one walked up on the top on the streets many years. And then I flew somewhere down to earth, and under the ground there was lots of tunnels and caves, and I found some suffering people from those caves, and then I understood that something very strong has happened here, and I tried to find some information where I can find that when this has happened, and then I saw from the trashes what I was seeing there, that there was some newspaper, and there was like that kind of very old newspaper. It was written in English, and there was 2023, and that newspaper was probably 30-40 years old already. It was very breakable material. That material was very like when you touch it will go, it will get broken, and had that kind of visions. And then I saw one suffering guy in the corner there, and I went to closer up, and I put my hand to this man's face, which was burned somehow, and I saw yellow energy which covered this guy's face, and it started to heal. And then I thought that now I'm trying to do everything that I can wake my eyes up, that I will go back to the bed and so on. But yes, I could open my eyes, even that it was a little bit difficult. But somehow I don't feel that this is a totally out-of-body experience. It's something which has to do with consciousness, but I cannot explain it. Do you have some ideas?
Mm-hmm. Yes, and first I would like to share what I feel and what I experienced also.
Yes.
From your story, that I'm sure, kind of sure that you have experienced the things had happened before. And many years ago, my master teacher, spirit guide, said, we have lost everything before, and this time we cannot fail. So we have lost everything, just like you described. And that is the future that we do not want to happen again. So we knew it from future time, and we all came to Earth this time to prevent things happen for destruction. So they said, the spirit guide said from higher consciousness, they said, we cannot fail again this time. And I knew also from my experiences that we all had lost our civilization, our culture, our being on Earth, and this time we need to prevent that could happen. So let's talk about this consciousness and how it affects your spiritual astral travel journey, etc. Then I can start from explaining 3 layers of consciousness. The normal consciousness is the consciousness that you know about. And the subconsciousness is like a memory bank. After we are all born, we start memorizing everything. From the beginning of our life as a baby, first we hear, we smell before our eyes are open. So we start hearing, we start smelling, feeling for survival and the development of physical body. So our brain starts to store those information, such as a voice from mother, voice from probably medical hospital staff, and the sounds at home, or like the car engine, the sound of engine, like a driving while you are brought to your home. So every sound, every smell, and or every information is stored in your brain, and that makes your subconsciousness activated. So many years' time, you have developed the collection of data with your audio, your visual, your sentience, many kinds of, like through 5 senses that belong to our physical body, because we need to develop the physical level first. So we develop those 5 senses, and we take all the information through those 5 senses. And those senses and memories go into our brain, and that makes our subconsciousness too. Also, the memories of nervous system and the muscle and every organ, those like a heart is pumping and sending blood to the entire body. So everything, even breath, and an automatic movement is stored as information, and that is the data. And we do not think about that because it's natural, and our body knows how it works. So our brain is all the time taking those information and the memories from senses. Okay, and where is our spirit? It's like in deep consciousness. It's not working on surface at the beginning, but it's behind and all the time functioning to supervise the activity of the body and the subconsciousness and the consciousness. So everything that we do on Earth as a physical being, and we store those information into our subconsciousness. And the deep subconsciousness as a spirit consciousness, which is observing all the activities happening.
Yes.
So not only a physical realm, but also metaphysical realm. What we experience in that metaphysical realm, we also store information memory, but it came through from deep subconsciousness into subconsciousness, so that we can watch that in our dream time when conscious mind is sleeping and resting. So when we are sleeping, our consciousness is resting, so it's not functioning, but subconsciousness is functioning, and the deep subconsciousness is functioning. So when we go out of body, we temporarily leave our physical body, and we became a spirit to travel the universe. So we came out of body and we became just a spirit, which is from consciousness point of view, it's deep subconsciousness. So anyway, the spiritual being we are, and we go out of body and we travel. And we experience those universal truths. And there, the time and the space on Earth, there are some physical limitations, of course. The time on Earth is decided by the Earth is the rotation, and because the Earth rotates, taking 24 hours, and that makes a day, and then we go around the sun by taking 365 days. That makes Earth's time. But in the universe, there is not time, concrete time, because what we think time is belonging to Earth, and it's not universal time. In the universe, everything is paralleling, so everything is coexistent. So the time on Earth is just for Earth people. So also a physical being, we have the limitation for going here and there in space, because we need to bring our body to go somewhere. But when we are spirit being, originally we are spirit, so that is our essence, and that is our original status. So as a spirit, we do not be bothered by physical limitations. But on Earth, we need to have this physical body to live on and until we die as physical being. So we live on Earth in physical body, but this will end when we leave Earth, because we have no more physical body then. So we come out of Earth time as well. Earth time and Earth space, physical limitation. So going back to the dream or experience you had, that is the Akashic record in another word, that you have tapped into the reality that happened before and brought that memory back into this life in your body. That means that telling you, teaching you, if we don't do things, then it might happen. It's like that could be possible. But when you know that, what would you do? So this is the message, and this is the awareness that you are bringing back from that experience. We cannot destroy our civilization, and we need to change. We need to do something. What we do. So that is the message that you have been given from that experience. If I translate or interpret that experience into what we can understand.
Yeah.
Does it explain?
Well, I guess it explains quite much, and I also believe in the same way that those things are showing to us that we know that we are here because of reason. We have to do something. We have to try to prevent those things happen. Somehow I also understood in that way that I believe in parallel universes. I have going there in my dream states when I have seen this example, my home city where I have been born. I have been seeing that, but it has been parallel university, and there has been always some little differences. Example, that energy, what was surrounding us, and all those people and everything, it was totally different energy. It was much more lighter and so on. And so it might be that also that those visions comes from another, like visions from another parallel universities which has failed. Example, in same time there has been many different time layers, and one of them can be shown us that what happens if you fail. But you know, it might be that way or another way.
Yeah. Yeah, and about I can also add something about incarnation. Like, we can choose what time we become born again. You can do. It's not linear time like on Earth. In universe and a spiritual realm, you can go back to any time, anytime. So yes. It's like when you were living 2100, for example, and then you finish that life. And then next time you think like, okay, I need to learn something more, and I need to do something more. So I would like to go back to Earth in time of 1000 year. It's possible. It's like you can go back to any time frame and do that again to adjust or to change something, and also learn, fill up your learning like a drill curriculum. So it's possible that you came from that moment. You might have visited that experience, or you might have lived that time, so that afterwards that you would like to do something to change the result of that line, like a parallel line.
Yes.
So there are some line that like peacefully live forever, and some line that caused total destruction, and that you feel like, and you want to change that life or the course of life, so that you can have good impact on the future life from then. But in the universe, as you might already know, or the people already know, there is no time, linear time. So it's always possible to come from future or come from past, and it's like it's not linear time frame, but it exists in each. It's like it's not like a human. It's not easy to understand or feel how it works, but from our spiritual being, that is the normal. That is more natural for us. So it's like yes, you can plan, you can see when you make changes, and you can choose lives you live, and you can choose area that you live, so that you can transform the course of the life.
One thing I have to add here, when I'm talking about those past, when I have been having those past lives experiences or visions, and example that last one what I described with wind, this energy and surrounding has been always, when it's past, when it has been passed somehow, there is dark brown atmosphere. It feels like that this atmosphere is somehow stopped, and those. But when I have example of had an experience, example of my past lives, then it has been in different kind of color. And then when I have been seeing those parallel universes which are ahead, there is much more those bright colors and everything. But those past experiences, somehow there is this dark brown energy covering this what I see, and it somehow feels like it's stopped somehow. It's just like what we see behind of aeroplane when it's just gives that trail. It's something which has just stopped. That has been interesting.
Yes, we have like our lives have different energies and a different vibration, and some those inactive. It's like some past lives is like in a box, and it's not activated. It's like it's there, but it's not developing. It's like a retardant and dormant. So that is the part probably you need to transform. Probably you felt like that is the part of yourself or your history or your consciousness that telling we need to somehow activate and make it more flowing. Yeah. So it's like some part of your spiritual history, those energy is kind of stuck in it.
Yes.
And that is affecting your life right now. So that is the fear, that is the sadness, and that is the cause of probably your fear and sadness in this life. So that is very important from my point of view, that you heal that past experience. Yeah, by doing like that and bringing those healing and loving energy from the universe into your past life experience, so that you can heal that life which is dormant, which is inactive, and somehow stopped there.
Might be so. I would like to take a couple of questions from the chat room. People who has followed our conversation has left some questions here, and Totti Sex, these are those name marks. Thank you, Remi Kanai, for telling so clearly about things. How would you describe a world that is beyond the veil? We have been talking quite much, but could you give us some closing for it? Describe the world that is beyond the veil. Do you understand what it means?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Human history is like a history of war, and from the beginning on Earth, that people are fighting, and many years ago, thousands of years ago, we fought each other, against each other. So the history is having a lot of wars. So, but the content of war and the tendency or the tools that are used in war is much different, and also how we fight is different. So at the beginning, that was quite much. Oh, by the way, 3 centuries before Christ, the Alexander, who was it? The king in European country, they used the pest to win the war, and later the Americans used the the disease to win the war. So we have those disease and war and things going on all the time. So it's not novel. It's history of human. And I feel that now we are having kind of war, but more psychological way. So people are in fear, and when people are in fear collectively, what would they do? And that is the history already happened many years ago, probably 50, 60 years ago. We all had this war, the World War, and people killed each other. But in those times of war, the before and after, there are always people who are kind of born to make like a countermeasure to those destruction, like musicians and artists and then poets and those people, also those people who are living for in love and compassion and helping each other. So those kind of development is also done in history. So not only destructive purposes, also there are some beautiful purposes and beautiful lives on earth happening. So it's always like a light and dark entwined. And when we go in negative and darkness, then always some strong light comes, and they are all the time entwined and make each other develop. It's like a Tao and an entire life, the oneness. And nowadays, modern time, I think this is like still light and dark, kind of fight against each other, but more like from some point of view, we can see it like helping each other to develop. And still it's like the old pattern is going on, still going on. And now we are awakening to the light and the essence of our nature. The nature means the nature, green and earth and everything, in literal meaning, and also the human essence. So what is the human essence is that we are all spirits, and we are all energies, and we are all consciousness before we become physical beings. So that is like this situation, this war, is making us to awake more to our nature and how we should live this life as an earth people and a universal being. And also there is some counter. The opponent is trying to blind us from becoming the true nature, blind us and blinding us and like stop us going towards the light. So that is like a combination all the time going on from the beginning of our human history. So the tools and the situation seen from the surface, they can be different, but the nature of this light and darkness is the same. So we need to develop now. It's like, okay, finally we come to the place where we should be aware of who we really are. So in this meaning that I strongly trust that this time we are all prepared to awake, and especially in those ecological, spiritual, metaphysical, transpersonal, those areas. The people are prepared, people are ready to awaken to their nature and become the entire, more like I don't say perfect, but perfect imperfect, but more like a developed and awakened beings we need to be. So that is the perfect time for us to really for achieving or the becoming what we are in nature. And that is the mission that we all share, I believe. I hope that explains something to you.
Well, I'm sure that it does too. same guy asked that when we was talking about those dreams and how they might predict the future and so on. But those predictions, are they also part of soul's contract when you give birth to the earth and you have some kind of soul's plan what you are planned to do, or are those dreams and predictions which comes from there, is they part of that plan? Are they coming also in the same time when everything else has been decided for this life?
Sorry, can you repeat that question?
Well, the question is that if dreams predict the future and so on, what kind of part they have in soul's contract? Are they somehow also written in soul's contract when you come to the earth and so on? Are those predictions also written in that what you planning to face here, or how you see?
The predictions, it's always...
Do they belong that kind of plan of soul when you come to the earth?
Yes, I think so. I feel so, and I trust that. And also about prediction and dreams, it cannot be revealed. Not everything is revealed, because if we know everything, we cannot go through each step. It's too much. So we need to know some part of it, but it's not everything. But our spiritual consciousness knows everything because it planned before. But in our physical being, as a human being, so it's not possible to know everything. Our human brain cannot take everything.
Yes, indeed.
Just a part of it.
And another question will come from Pekka Tiussa, who asked that are there any other truths than a feeling and emotions when we are thinking about perceiving our being or its states? Are there any other way to have this kind of perceiving of ourselves and this world and having feeling and emotions? Are there any other ways to see the world or get information?
Yeah, okay. If I talk about sensitivity, for example, there are 5 senses first that we can see, we can hear, we can feel, we can smell, we can taste. And that is 5 senses. And a 6th sense, if we say in that way, that exists. So the vision, when you see something beyond the physical reality, that's called clairvoyance. Means that in English it's clear sight. So you can see beyond physical thing. So that is a clairvoyance. And clairaudience, that is hearing beyond physical sound. So if human sense, human audio, we can only hear some certain range of sound. So there are some higher sound and lower sound which we cannot hear from our physical ears. But our perception of the spirit means that our psychic senses and sensitivity, it can feel the energy and it can translate into the brain, and so that we can understand, okay, that is the voice or that is the sound of something. So here in subconsciousness, that we have all the information. I talked about it before and earlier, and we have all the information, all the data audio, visual, sensory, any kind of data. So we feel the energy and our brain interprets into something else, like which is resonating the same. So if we feel the spirits, your grandma's voice, for example, it's not sound physically heard, but you can feel the sound of grandma. And in your brain, it can interpret because it has memory of grandma's voice. So vibration can be interpreted into grandma's voice.
Yes.
Then you perceive like okay, now I heard my grandma's voice. So this is clairaudience. And clairsentience is the feeling. And you said that you felt like you are feeling emotions and the feelings of other people. So that means that you are having this clairsentience. Clairsentience is that you feel beyond physical touch. So normal sentience is that you can feel like when I have this my mobile phone, and I can feel the texture because my skin has those sensory nerves, and that can interpret into my it's interpreted in my brain, and this is the mobile phone's case. But the clairsentience is not feeling something material or physical. So if we don't have this material, still we feel the energies of others, energies of something else. So that is clairsentience. And also you have those smell and taste. When you don't have something in your mouth, still you feel like a mint. I have a client many years ago. He was Canadian, yes. And then he said in the healing session, I was giving him the crystal acupuncture and those kind of therapy. And he said, in my mouth, I can taste of mint, and it's very good. And this is also the sense that beyond the physical reality, because he doesn't have the mint in his mouth, but his brain remembers how mint tastes like. So the energy is cleansing his body, and in his brain, that makes him feel like he's being cleansed and he's being clean. So he like kind of used his brain, sent him, now his cleaning is done. So he was able to taste the mint, even he doesn't have anything mint in his mouth. So in this way, the smell is the same. Like some people who are very psychic and sensitive to smell, that they can smell the beings, and they can smell the future, they can smell the past. So I was able to smell some oil and the gum kind of leaked from the ship before. So I felt like, what is this smell of the oil leaking? And then somewhere in the world that the ship is leaking the oil, etc. So these are kind of metaphysical, means that it doesn't exist physically, but you can still feel and perceive those vibration or energy, so that you know what energy is about.
Yeah.
Does it explain?
I believe it does. And if we're thinking about all kind of information and all kind of perceptions, well, everything what we have here is energy, and those energy are waves. We have a spiritual and physical senses to transform that vibration to by senses and so on, to different kind of understanding, different kind of information, and well, I guess it's quite a normal thing in that there is other ways to have a perceptions from the world than just feeling, because this energy can take so many different forms, and we have sensors and senses in different way that how to translate that energy to ourselves. But now it's time to take another music shot. Here is two cellos, and song is The Calling. Why this song? What it means to me? You?
Yes, this is like I think this music saved my soul. And then I play this music when I guide some meditation. So I did this meditation. I used this music, Benedictus, when I was lecturing in hospital and also in medical event and the ceremony, etc. And this is beautiful piece of music, another beautiful piece of music, and that calms your spirit down, and that gives you the healing and a consolation to your spirit and heart. So that's why I chose this, and this is really, really healing and beautiful music. So I hope that you enjoy.
Well, let's hear, and after that we will coming for last time to do with Remi now. But now music. Okay, it has been a pleasure to talk with you, Remi, and we will talk later probably. And thank you for your time now, and thank you, Remi.
Thank you, kiitos.
Ja,
Nähdään.
nähdään.